The sound of hurried footsteps and ringing phones filled the open-plan office at Lancaster Tech Solutions, a mid-sized software firm in Dallas, Texas. Amid the clatter of keyboards and the occasional dry chuckle from upper management, Malik Thompson, 28, sat quietly in his cubicle in the farthest corner, barely noticed by most of his coworkers. A tall, soft-spoken black man with a background in data science and a deep love for coding, Malik was one of those employees who got things done efficiently, accurately, and without much fanfare. He wore his usual pressed slacks, button-up shirt, and his late grandfather's watch, a vintage piece that reminded him every morning of where he came from. For Malik, this job wasn't just a paycheck. It was a step toward a dream. He had grown up in a working-class neighborhood on the south side of Houston, raised by a single mother who juggled 2 jobs just to get him through school. He'd always been the quiet kid, the one who stayed after class, who learned to code from YouTube videos, and who graduated top of his class despite the odds. But none of that seemed to matter at Lancaster. His coworkers, particularly Trent, Zach, and Melissa, treated him like an invisible man, except when they decided he was worth mocking. Trent, the loudest and most entitled of the group, often made jokes about Malik's robot energy or how he was probably building Skynet in his little corner. Zach, ever the sidekick, chuckled along and occasionally added his own passive-aggressive comments about Malik's fancy talk or overachiever vibes. Melissa rarely said anything to Malik directly, but her eye rolls whenever he spoke up in meetings were loud enough. Despite it all, Malik kept his head down. He wasn't there to make friends. He was there to learn, to build, and if fate allowed, to rise. Each day was almost identical. Arrive early. Review the back-end code that the rest of the team barely touched. Fix the bugs others ignored. Stay late. Go home to his small apartment, make dinner, and work on his personal app, a revolutionary AI-powered scheduling tool he hoped to pitch one day. Every moment he spent at Lancaster felt like a waiting game. He knew his value. He just needed the world to catch up. But the tipping point came on a rainy Wednesday afternoon. During a team meeting, the manager, Harold, asked for suggestions on how to improve the company's failing client dashboard. Malik, who had already drafted a more efficient solution in his free time, raised his hand. I actually ran some tests on a model I designed over the weekend. It reduced page load time by. Trent interrupted with a laugh. Look who's finally speaking. What's the matter, Malik? Siri didn't have the answer today. Zach snorted, and even Harold smirked, brushing Malik off. That's nice, Malik. But let's keep the suggestions realistic. Malik clenched his jaw. His idea was realistic. It was clean, scalable, and tested. But it was dismissed, just like him. Again. After the meeting, Malik sat in his cubicle, seething. Not with anger, but with quiet determination. He pulled up his personal app, tweaked a few lines of code, and then paused. A new thought had taken root. What if he didn't wait for recognition? What if he stopped trying to belong here and created something they couldn't ignore? That same week, something unexpected happened. Malik received an email with the subject line, Invitation to Private Founders Networking Event, Technova Ventures. At first, he thought it was a mistake. But as he scanned the content, he realized it wasn't. His old college professor had nominated him for a tech entrepreneur mentorship program. The event was in 2 weeks. He hadn't told anyone at work about his side project, not even that he had a full prototype. But something inside him stirred. Maybe this was the beginning of something bigger. Meanwhile, strange things began happening around the office. Harold was seen arguing with his senior partner behind closed doors. Budget cuts were mentioned. Tensions rose. And then came a whisper in the office kitchen. The company might be up for acquisition. Malik overheard Melissa talking to Zach. If it's true, she said, they'll be bringing in their own people. We need to start securing our spots. Zach shrugged. I'm not worried. No way they replace our team. We've been running this department for years. Melissa lowered her voice. You know what they say. New management, new leadership. And honestly, Malik's probably the first one out. Malik quietly turned the corner, coffee in hand, and walked back to his desk without a word. He wasn't worried either. because for the first time he felt the shift. Something was coming. Something big. And the people who had humiliated him were about to learn just how wrong they had been. 2 weeks later, Malik stood in the grand lobby of the Ritz-Carlton in downtown Dallas, wearing the only suit he owned, navy blue, with a crisp white shirt and a slim tie. His palms were slightly damp, but his face was calm. The Technova Founders networking event was unlike anything he'd experienced. CEOs, venture capitalists, young disruptors, and old-school tech moguls all mingling over cocktails and projections of the future. He kept to himself at first, listening more than talking, but when he finally worked up the nerve to speak with a representative from Darwin Tech Capital, he surprised even himself. "I've built an AI-based personal scheduling system that predicts and adapts to user behavior with over 93% accuracy," Malik said confidently. "It's scalable for enterprise-level integration, and I'm currently in private beta." The representative raised an eyebrow. "You're running the beta solo?" "Yes," Malik replied. "Nights and weekends. I also developed the back-end architecture from scratch." The conversation lasted 20 minutes. By the end of the night, Malik had handed out 4 business cards and received 3 invitations for follow-up meetings. But the most surprising encounter came near the exit, just as he was preparing to leave. A woman in a tailored blazer stepped into his path. "Malik Thompson?" she asked. "I'm Janine Carter, executive strategist with Vertex Labs. We're scouting for emerging leaders to manage innovation rollouts in our new acquisitions. Your name came up. Would you be open to a conversation?" Malik blinked. "My name came up?" She smiled. "You'd be surprised how small the real tech world is." What followed over the next 6 weeks was a whirlwind. Janine and her team vetted his app, reviewed his code, and even invited him to present to Vertex Labs' core leadership. Meanwhile, he kept showing up to Lancaster Tech Solutions every day like nothing was happening. The tension inside the office continued to rise. Malik noticed it in the subtle changes: the HR manager disappearing, more closed-door meetings, and the sudden departure of Harold, the team manager who once smirked at Malik's ideas. Rumors became reality when the official company-wide memo arrived. Subject: Exciting news, Lancaster Tech joins Vertex Labs. Everyone buzzed with excitement and confusion. There were meetings with HR. Some departments were being restructured. Most of the old leadership had been offered early retirement or buyouts. But Malik? He was offered a new contract. A senior one. He read the email twice. "We are pleased to invite you to lead Lancaster Tech's innovation integration under Vertex Labs. Your contributions, particularly your scheduling AI, position you as a prime candidate for this leadership transition. We look forward to your response." He stared at the screen in disbelief. Not only had Vertex Labs acquired Lancaster, they wanted him to be in charge of the company's rebranding and development strategy. Malik accepted. But he didn't say a word to anyone, not yet. For 2 weeks, he continued working as usual, arriving early and leaving late. He stayed under the radar, even as the office atmosphere grew more uncertain. Trent walked around like nothing had changed. Melissa was visibly stressed, and Zach had already begun interviewing elsewhere. Then came the official announcement in the main conference room. The entire department gathered. Most assumed the new leadership team would be flown in from California or Austin. But when Janine Carter walked into the room and smiled, introducing the new director of development, jaws dropped. "Please welcome your new leader, Malik Thompson." There was a silence so deep it felt like gravity shifted. Trent's smirk vanished instantly. Melissa looked like she had swallowed glass. Zach stood frozen, blinking. Malik walked to the front, his posture calm, controlled, but inside, he was on fire. Not with revenge, not with ego, but with undeniable pride. "Thank you, Janine," Malik began. "Some of you know me as the guy from the corner cubicle. But starting today, I'm leading the very team I once sat quietly among. I've seen what this company can do, and I've also seen where we've fallen short. That ends now." He paused, scanning the room, locking eyes with each person who had once treated him like a ghost. "We're going to build something better. Together. But make no mistake, this won't be the same old Lancaster Tech." After the meeting, Malik retreated to his new office, Harold's old one, now bearing a new nameplate. Malik Thompson, Director of Development. That afternoon, he received a knock on the door. It was Trent. He stepped in, rubbing the back of his neck, the bravado gone. "Hey, Malik, Director Thompson. I just wanted to say, congrats. Seriously, you really surprised us." Malik tilted his head slightly. "Did I?" Trent laughed awkwardly. "Yeah, man. I mean, no one saw this coming. But hey, clean slate, right?" Malik leaned back in his chair, considering. "I believe in second chances. But clean slates? Those are earned." Trent's smile faded. "You'll need to show me," Malik added, "not just tell me." Trent nodded slowly and walked out. Melissa and Zach came in later, each with their own awkward apologies and weak smiles. Malik was professional with all of them. Civil, clear, but distant. He wasn't interested in humiliation or payback. What he wanted was excellence, and those who couldn't bring it wouldn't last. Still, something in him had shifted. He could feel it, the balance of power, the weight of leadership, and the echo of every moment he'd ever been belittled. But now he was in control, and he wouldn't waste a second of it. Malik sat behind his new mahogany desk, the city skyline sprawling outside his window. The hum of Lancaster tech was faint but steady, a reminder that the company was still alive, but fragile. He ran a hand through his hair, feeling the weight of every expectation resting squarely on his shoulders. His first days as Director of Development were a whirlwind. Meetings with the executive team, reviewing budgets, and most importantly, assessing the talent beneath him. He already knew some people wouldn't make the cut. Malik's biggest challenge wasn't just restructuring the company's products or workflows, it was reshaping a culture built on complacency and hidden resentment. A culture that had humiliated him, dismissed him, and underestimated him. He recalled one incident from just months ago, Trent, the senior developer, mocking Malik during a team meeting when he suggested a new scheduling feature. The room had laughed. Malik had stayed silent then. But that wasn't going to happen again. His first official move was a one-on-one with Trent. The two sat in Malik's office, the air thick with unspoken tension. "I want to hear from you, Trent," Malik said evenly. "What do you think needs to change here?" Trent shifted in his seat, avoiding eye contact. "Honestly, I think the company's been drifting. No real vision. Everyone's just doing their own thing." Malik nodded. "And what role do you see yourself playing in changing that?" Trent hesitated. "I want to be part of it, but I guess I'm skeptical. You were an outsider to the leadership, and now you're in charge." Malik leaned forward. "I'm not here to punish anyone. I'm here to build something that lasts. But that means everyone has to step up or step aside." The meeting ended with a tentative agreement. Trent would lead a new team focused on improving the AI's adaptability algorithm, but Malik would oversee every milestone. Next was Melissa, the project manager who had visibly distanced herself since the acquisition announcement. Their conversation was candid. "Melissa, you've got talent," Malik began. "But I've seen you shut down ideas from the junior staff. That doesn't help the innovation." She looked defensive. "I just want to keep the project on track. Too many ideas slow us down." Malik smiled gently. "Innovation requires risk, and risk requires trust." Melissa nodded slowly. "I want to learn how to lead better." Malik made it his mission to mentor her, scheduling weekly sessions to discuss leadership and team dynamics. Meanwhile, Malik found an unexpected ally in Zach, the quiet software engineer who had been preparing to leave the company. Zach's technical expertise was unmatched, but he had little confidence. "Why stay?" Malik asked during their first meeting. "Because," Zach said quietly, "someone finally believes in me." Malik gave him a nod of encouragement. But outside the walls of Lancaster Tech, challenges multiplied. Janine, the executive strategist, scheduled weekly check-ins to ensure Malik's progress aligned with Vertex Labs' broader vision. Malik was given clear directives: deliver measurable growth within 6 months or face replacement. Pressure mounted. One night, Malik stayed late, reviewing code and company metrics. The AI's performance was solid, but not spectacular. User engagement plateaued. Competitors were launching new features faster. The stakes were rising. He realized he had to make a bold decision: invest heavily in a new AI module that used predictive analytics with real-time feedback, an idea Malik had been hesitant to push before due to cost and complexity. Presenting the plan to the board was daunting. Malik knew the risk could backfire, and if it did, his leadership would be questioned. But he believed in the vision. At the board meeting, Malik laid out the roadmap. The new module will allow us to predict user behavior not just hours, but days in advance. It'll differentiate us from competitors and open new market opportunities. Questions and doubts flew. One board member asked about budget overruns. Another questioned the timeline. Malik stood firm. We'll allocate resources from non-critical projects, and I'll oversee the implementation personally. This is a make-or-break move. After hours of debate, the board approved the proposal, with conditions. Malik felt the weight of the gamble, but also a surge of determination. As the team began the implementation, internal conflicts rose. Trent's group struggled with integration, Melissa resisted reallocating her resources, and Zach felt the pressure crushing him. Malik juggled each problem, balancing empathy with accountability. One afternoon, a software glitch caused the AI to send erroneous scheduling alerts to enterprise clients, risking a major contract. The blame game began. Trent was defensive. Melissa was frustrated. Zach felt crushed. Malik called an emergency meeting. "This is not about blame," he said firmly. "It's about fixing this. We win or lose as a team." He stayed up all night coordinating fixes, reassuring clients, and motivating his team. The crisis passed, but the lesson was clear. Leadership was about owning every moment, good and bad. Malik's journey from humiliated coworker to responsible boss was only just beginning, but every decision, every plan, every risk was shaping the company and himself into something stronger. The day of the big product launch finally arrived. The moment Malik had been preparing for, the culmination of months of sleepless nights, tense meetings, and high-stakes decisions. The entire Lancaster tech team gathered in the sleek conference room, the air thick with anticipation. Malik could feel the weight of every eye on him, every expectation resting heavily on his shoulders. But lurking beneath the surface was a storm he hadn't fully anticipated. Just hours before the launch, an unexpected email landed in Malik's inbox. It was from Janine, the executive strategist from Vertex Labs, the very person who had been monitoring his every move since day one. The message was curt and chilling. "Malik, we've discovered irregularities in the recent development logs. There's evidence of deliberate sabotage from within your team. We're initiating an internal investigation immediately. This could jeopardize the entire project and your position." Malik's heart sank. Sabotage? Within his own team? Who would do such a thing and why? He quickly called an emergency meeting with his closest trusted allies, Melissa, Trent, and Zach. Faces that had once been adversarial or uncertain were now the foundation he had to rely on. "We have a serious problem," Malik said, showing them the email. "Someone on the inside is trying to derail everything we've worked for." Trent's jaw tightened. "This is personal. Someone wants to see us fail." Melissa looked shaken but resolute. "We can't let this happen. We have to find out who it is, and fast." Zach nodded, his usual quiet demeanor replaced by a fierce determination. "I'll help dig through the logs. We'll find the culprit." As they worked feverishly, Malik's mind raced. The possibility that one of his own team members, people he had tried to uplift and mentor, could betray him was devastating. But there was no time for self-pity. Hours turned into a tense blur of code reviews, security checks, and late-night interrogations. Then, the breakthrough. Zach uncovered anomalies pointing directly to Trent's code repository. Evidence that someone had inserted malicious lines intended to disrupt the AI's core functions just before launch. Malik was stunned. Trent, the very man he had confronted months ago, was at the center of the sabotage? Confronting Trent was unavoidable. Malik summoned him to the office. "Trent, I need answers," Malik said, his voice steady but cold. Trent's expression was unreadable. After a long pause, he finally spoke. "I was angry," Trent admitted. "I thought you'd never give me a real chance. I wanted to prove you were in over your head." "But why sabotage the project?" Malik pressed. "You risked everyone's jobs, including yours." Trent looked down, ashamed. "I was scared that everything would change, and I'd be left behind." Malik sighed deeply. "I get that fear. But destroying the company doesn't protect you. It destroys us all." In a moment that shocked everyone, Malik extended his hand. "Come back with us. Help fix this. Prove you're better than your mistakes." Trent hesitated, then took the hand. The team rallied, working through the night to repair the damage. The launch went forward, though later than planned. When the new AI module finally went live, the response was overwhelming. Clients praised its precision, user engagement soared, and the company's stock rose sharply. Malik stood before the company at a celebration meeting, proud yet humbled. He addressed the team. "This journey has tested us in ways I never imagined. But what defines us isn't the setbacks, it's how we rise after them. We're stronger together." Janine approached him after the meeting, her demeanor softened. "You passed the test, Malik. You've proven you can lead, not just manage." Malik smiled, knowing this was only the beginning. The weeks following the successful product launch were a whirlwind for Malik. The once quiet office buzzed with renewed energy, respect, and a sense of purpose. Where there had been whispers of doubt and underestimation, now there was admiration and trust. Malik's transformation from the co-worker who had been humiliated into the leader they all looked up to was complete, but it hadn't come without cost. He spent many late nights reflecting on how close he had come to losing everything. The betrayal by Trent was a harsh lesson, a reminder that trust, once broken, takes time and effort to rebuild. Trent, now fully committed to the team, worked harder than ever. The two men shared many honest conversations, slowly turning resentment into respect. Malik realized that leadership wasn't just about authority, but about forgiveness and guiding others toward growth. Melissa stepped up as his right hand, managing client relations with renewed confidence, while Zach's loyalty never wavered. The bonds between the team were stronger than ever. Yet, Malik knew the biggest change was within himself. He had grown from the insecure junior developer into a confident leader. The humiliations of the past no longer haunted him, they fueled his drive. One afternoon, Malik sat alone in the company's rooftop garden, watching the city's skyline shimmer in the late afternoon sun. His phone buzzed, a message from Janine. "Proud of you. Let's talk about your next big challenge." He smiled, feeling ready. Whatever the future held, Malik was no longer afraid. He had faced his greatest fears, overcome betrayal, and risen stronger. His journey wasn't just about becoming the boss. It was about becoming the person he was always meant to be.